Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important medical terminology that will help us to identify the complete medical term meaning. Okay, so as you know that we are currently focusing on medical coding root words. So in this session, I'll show you some root words. We will discuss its meaning, examples, so that you can easily understand what is root word and how we can utilize it. How we can find out the meaning of entire medical term by focusing on root word. Okay, so those who don't know about root word, so in a very simple way you can understand that a root word is something that will provide you more than 90% of information for your medical term. Okay, so that particular thing we can consider as a root word, which will provide more than 90% of information. So moving ahead, like firstly I'll just show you some examples, some terminology, or you can say some root word. We will discuss its meaning as well as we will talk about the examples. Okay, so these examples will help you to answer the question in your exams like CPC or any other medical related interviews. Okay, but before we proceed further, I just want to let you know that this session is in complete sequence and series. This playlist is in the same order, so it would be really great if you can follow it in a sequential manner, so that you can learn the things in a very simple way, because prior to that we have already learned so many other things which is in proper sequence. And for that you can refer the Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. There you will find thousands of video, and there is a particular tab for medical coding, so you can just learn from there. And these sessions are available in both Hindi as well as English language. Okay, all right, so now you can see we have the first root word, that is aden or adeno. Aden or adeno. Now why do we use it? So wherever you find this root word, that is aden or adeno, it will indicate information, something related to gland. Okay, so if you found something like that contains aden or adeno, so you can say that yes, it is related to the gland. For example, here you can see we have adenoma. Now what is adenoma? Adenoma is something that is that defines the condition of gland tumor. Okay, so we can clearly see that here we are using gland tumor, and this gland word is denoted by adeno. Okay, so the overall term is, the complete medical terminology is adenoma, whereas we are using the root word, that is adeno. Okay, so this is the first example. In the similar way, we have second example, that is adenitis. Adenitis means gland inflammation. So if there is a situation where the glands are inflamed, then in that case we will use the terminology, that is gland like to show the gland inflammation, we will use the terminology adenitis. Okay, in the similar way we have second root word, that is blephar or blephro. Blephar or blephro. So if there is a root word related to blephar or blephro, it is related to eyelid. It is related to eyelid. For example, blepharitis. Blepharitis means eyelid inflammation. So if for any reason if the eyelids are inflamed, then in that case we will use the medical terminology, that is blepharitis, where the key term, or you can say the root word, is blephar or blephro. Okay, in the similar way we have next example, that is blepharoplasty. Blepharoplasty, which is nothing but a surgery related to eyelid. For any diagnosis purpose, if a patient is operated with some surgery that is related to eyelid, then in that case we will use the complete terminology, that is blepharoplasty, which contains the root word blephro. Okay, so I think this is clear. Now the third root word is brachi or brachio, which is related to arm. So if something is related to arm, then in that case we will use brachi or brachio. For example, brachial artery. Brachial artery means main arm artery. So here we are denoting main arm, and for that purpose you can see it contains brachi or brachio. Likewise we have brachial plexus. Brachial plexus means nerve bundle in the arm. So if there is a presence of nerve bundle in an arm, then we will denote this thing with the term brachial plexus. Okay, fine. Now we have next few root word, that is onych, onco, that is related to nail. So if something is related to nails, then you will find the root word as onych or onco, like oncomycosis. Oncomycosis means nails fungus. So if a patient is suffering from a disease that is nail fungus, then in that case the medical terminology will be denoted as oncomycosis. Okay. Likewise, if there is a terminology which is oncolysis means separation of a nail from its bed. For any medical purpose or for any treatment purpose, if a nail is completely removed from its bed, then in that case that entire process is denoted with the terminology that is oncolysis, where the root word is onco. Okay. Next root word is burs or burso. Okay, so which is related to joint sac, or you can say bursa. Okay, so if something is related to joint sac or bursa, then in that case we will use the root, like you will find the root word as burs or burso. For example, bursitis. Itis we know, that is a suffix, right? So it is related to inflammation. And burs we know that it is related to joint sac. So this entire terminology is bursitis, where sac inflammation is the presence in near the joints. Similarly, we have second example, that is bursectomy. Bursectomy means removal of bursa. Again, for any medical purposes, if bursa is removed from the patient body, then in that case we will say that the procedure which is conducted is considered as a bursectomy. Clear? In the similar way, we have next term root word, that is medull or medullo. Medull or medullo, that is related to middle or marrow. Middle or marrow. For example, medulla oblongata, medulla oblongata, that means inner brain region. So if you want to highlight the inner brain region, then in that case this is the complete terminology which contains middle or medulla. Okay. Similarly, we have next example, that is medullary. Medullary means related to marrow or inner part. So if something is related to marrow or inner part of the body, then in that case we will use the root word. You will find the root word that is medullo or medull. Clear? So far we discussed a couple of root word, that is aden, adeno, which is related to gland. Then we talked about blephar or blephro, which is related to eyelid. Then we talked about brachi or brachio, again it is related to arm. Similarly, we talked about onych or onco, related to nail. Burs, which is related to bursa. Medull, that is related to middle or marrow. Clear? So these are the all root word which I planned for this session. I hope meaning is clear, you know the examples. Once meaning is clear and you have go through couple of examples, then it would be really very easy for you to understand and to figure out the actual meaning during exams or any interview process. Okay, so just one recommendation, do the proper practice, just revise these things, prepare a required note, and then help you to practice these all things, because there are so many things that we have learned so far, like prefixes, suffixes, right? So just to remember all these things, what I will do, in every session I will provide you one question which will help us to recall your knowledge. Okay, so in today's session we have one question, that what is the meaning of tonsil or tonsillo? I'm sure like you know about this thing, because we have already covered this thing in our previous session, in one of our previous session. So you just try to recall that answer and write it in a comment section. Please do share your knowledge in the comment section, so that if someone don't know the answer, they can directly refer it from comment. And if you don't know the answer, no worries, like we have already covered this in our one of our previous session, so you can just go through it, and once it is clear, then you can share your knowledge through comments. Clear? So yeah, that's all for today. I hope this session is clear to all of you. In case if you have any question, suggestion or feedback for any of the session or playlist, feel free to share it with comments. I will try my best to answer your question and implement the suggested feedback. So yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.